Some of your worst nightmares were real.
Some of the darkest fears he once had about Hollywood eventually proved to be true. There are other islands.
Epstein Island isn't the only sex island out there. And Tim Ballard takes down one of the
other hidden operations, and they've reportedly been running for decades, completely unnoticed by the public. Hollywood pushed back hard against anyone who came too close to this story.
Everyone was told, from Rupert Murdoch, from Fox, to every studio, look, if you touch this thing, you will be out, you will be done, you'll be finished.
Directors, studios, actors, anyone who tried to dig deeper. But here's the connection many people still aren't making. Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel are no longer just speaking about these issues publicly. They are reportedly working together on a new film. And according to various reports, the project may reference well-known figures, names many people recognize, names that allegedly appear in the Epstein records. Because of that possibility, the entertainment industry isn't merely uneasy, it's reportedly extremely anxious. Today we're going to explore why. Two determined individuals, one shared mission, and an industry that seems increasingly unsettled. Let's set the stage. It's 2026. Documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein have become widely discussed online. Previously hidden sections and redacted portions have circulated across the internet. Reports say hundreds of names were submitted to Congress by Attorney General Pam Bondi, politicians, wealthy business figures, celebrities, individuals whose connections to Epstein have been examined in public records. Investigators have described Epstein's operation as one of the most complex criminal networks uncovered in modern times. Amid all of this controversy, two of Hollywood's most outspoken figures quietly announced they were joining forces on a new film project, Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel. Both men have faced intense criticism throughout their careers. Their reputations have been challenged, and their professional opportunities have reportedly been affected after they raised questions about powerful institutions. Now they are working on a film project together. And according to discussions surrounding the project, this won't be a small documentary quietly released on a streaming platform in the middle of the night. It is said to be a major production. Sources claim the film may attempt to explore topics that previous projects, such as Sound of Freedom, did not fully address. It may focus on allegations connected to Epstein's private island and the individuals involved, examining who participated, who enabled the system, and who may have benefited from it for years. Before getting to the names often mentioned in discussions about this topic, it's important to understand how we reached this point. Because this moment didn't begin with a single announcement. It began with two men who spent years being ridiculed, dismissed, or sidelined after raising concerns that later gained wider attention. Many people forget that Mel Gibson was once one of the most influential figures in Hollywood. He directed the Academy Award-winning Braveheart. He starred in the hugely successful Lethal Weapon series. At one point, the entire industry seemed to revolve around him. And then something changed. When you hear him describe Hollywood in those terms, it can initially sound abstract, almost philosophical, like an actor reflecting on the pressures that come with fame. But what he said next made the situation far more unsettling. At the time, he said he felt confused. He was asking questions, trying to understand certain things happening around him, but no one would provide answers. In Hollywood, there has long been an unspoken rule. Some questions simply aren't meant to be asked. The moment that sends chills through people listening to his story is when he explained that the fears he once dismissed as paranoia eventually...
This is a bizarre place. And it doesn't take very long, and I'm sure you've experienced this if you've stayed here for any length of time. You come in, you're fresh from the outside. You're off the boat from the farm, still got shit on your shoes. You're in here. People are charmed by that you've still got shit on your shoes. They're charmed by the fresh approach you bring to it. And that's a real thing. But they're also stroking the shit out of you, licking you all over. And that's kind of good for you too.
It's great.
But it doesn't take very long before you realize, or before it gets to you. It's cascading on you all the time. You can't get away from certain attitudes, from certain modes of behavior that this town and the industry dictate. And no matter how strong you are when you come in off the farm with those convictions and a certain line of attack, no matter how strong you are going to be affected by it.
Appeared to have some truth behind them. He went from thinking he might be imagining things to believing he had been right all along. When Hollywood realized Mel Gibson might not stay silent, controversy quickly followed. In 2006, a traffic stop in Malibu became a major public scandal. For years, some observers have suggested that the incident was amplified in ways that severely damaged his reputation and career. Whether intentional or not, the result was clear. Gibson was pushed out of the center of the industry he once dominated. Afterward, He stepped away from Hollywood life, spending time in Australia, focusing on quieter pursuits and distancing himself from the chaos of the entertainment world. Looking back now, many of the scandals that later emerged, cases involving powerful figures in entertainment and media, have caused some people to revisit his earlier comments with new perspective. Yet Gibson didn't disappear permanently. He eventually returned with renewed determination. In this narrative, Mel Gibson is often portrayed as the veteran figure who had already experienced Hollywood's backlash, while Jim Caviezel became the actor willing to step directly into controversy. Most people are familiar with Sound of Freedom. The film was completed years before it finally reached theaters. After the acquisition of 20th Century Fox by Disney, the movie reportedly sat unreleased for an extended period. Major streaming services declined to distribute or promote it. Despite that, once the film was eventually released through an independent model, it became a surprising box office success, earning over $200 million worldwide. Think about what that meant. According to various accounts, people within the industry warned that involvement with the project could damage careers. The message, some say, was clear: supporting this film might come with professional consequences. Even so, Caviezel continued to promote the project.
I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
Mel Gibson was reportedly aware of the risks surrounding the topic as well, yet he still expressed support. Both men stepped into the conversation despite knowing it could generate backlash. For Caviezel, he often described the project not simply as a film but as something he believed carried deeper significance. When Sound of Freedom finally reached theaters, something unusual happened. During certain emotional scenes, some audience members reportedly began mentioning Epstein's Island aloud during screenings, connecting the story on screen with real-world controversies that had dominated headlines. For Caviezel, that reaction reinforced his belief that many people already suspected broader connections behind human trafficking networks. The film didn't
That some of your worst nightmares were real.
necessarily introduce new ideas. It gave viewers a platform to discuss concerns they had already been thinking about. And that's part of why the rumored new project involving Gibson has generated so much discussion. While Sound of Freedom focused largely on anti-trafficking operations in countries like Colombia and Haiti, the new project is said to explore allegations surrounding Epstein's private island itself, an issue tied directly to well-documented investigations and public records. To understand why the topic draws so much attention, you have to look at the documents that have been released publicly. Supporters of the project say the film may reference information already discussed in court filings, depositions, and government records. Reports claim that more than 300 names connected to Epstein's broader network were referenced in documents submitted to Congress in early 2026. That number only reflects individuals whose names appeared in certain records. Investigators have often suggested the network itself was much larger. Some celebrities' names have appeared in Epstein's contact book or flight records, documents frequently discussed in media coverage of the case. These
For the whole industry. I mean, it's a very strange place, Hollywood. But it's an odd place. And you imagine all these horror stories there that you think, boy, it seems as if I'm being sacrificed over here. No, that couldn't be true. And then you realize that it is true.
references have been widely debated because inclusion in such records does not necessarily imply wrongdoing, but it does show how many high-profile individuals crossed paths with Epstein during his lifetime. For example, names like Jay-Z, Naomi Campbell, and Bill Clinton have appeared in various public records or flight logs. Bill Gates also acknowledged
Everyone was told, from Rupert Murdoch, from Fox, to every studio, look, if you touch this thing, you will be out, you will be done. You'll be finished in 3 years.
meeting Epstein in 2011, years after Epstein's earlier conviction, something Gates later described as a mistake in judgment. According to reports connected to document releases, Epstein later attempted to pressure Gates using personal information about an alleged relationship. Melinda Gates later confirmed publicly that Epstein's name had been a factor in tensions within their marriage.
I remember this one conversation I had with Mel Gibson and the whole team that came in and just said, wow, these are the stakes.
Another figure frequently discussed in conversations surrounding the released files is Oprah Winfrey. Her name reportedly appears several times in the documents, though the context and meaning of those mentions remain widely debated. Caviezel has referenced her name during public discussions about the broader issue of influence and reputation in Hollywood. His comments highlight a larger pattern often discussed when examining powerful networks, the role of trusted public figures. For decades, Oprah was associated with numerous influential people in entertainment, philanthropy, and media. Critics argue that individuals with questionable behavior sometimes benefited from being seen alongside highly respected figures, which created a sense of credibility and safety around them. Harvey Weinstein, for instance, maintained friendships with many celebrities for years before the allegations against him became public. Brazilian spiritual figure João Teixeira de Faria, known as John of God, also received major media exposure before later being convicted of numerous crimes. The point often raised in these discussions is not that every public figure involved shared responsibility, but that association with respected personalities can create a powerful form of social credibility. Some observers say that was part of Epstein's strategy as well. He frequently mentioned famous names, actors such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Blanchett, Bruce Willis, and Cameron Diaz, during conversations with potential victims or associates. In many cases, those celebrities had no proven connection to wrongdoing, but invoking their names helped Epstein project influence and legitimacy. That dynamic, using reputation as a shield, is what critics claim allowed his network to operate for so long. Supporters of the rumored Gibson Caviezel film say the project aims to examine these layers, the systems, the influence, and the individuals who may have enabled the environment around Epstein. Where Sound of Freedom focused on victims and rescue operations, the new film is rumored to explore the alleged perpetrators and power structures that made the network possible. The idea, according to discussions about the project, is to examine documented evidence, court records, flight logs, depositions, and testimony that already exist in public archives. Caviezel once compared the system to an octopus with many arms. Removing one arm, he suggested, does little to stop it. The central power structure must be addressed. That metaphor has become a common reference point among those discussing the new project. The reaction from Hollywood reportedly reflects how much the media landscape has changed. In the past, large studios and distributors could effectively block controversial films, but independent distribution models have altered that dynamic. The success of Sound of Freedom, largely distributed through independent channels and audience support, demonstrated that a film can reach millions without the traditional backing of major studios. Beyond Gibson and Caviezel, other voices have spoken about troubling experiences in the entertainment industry. Actor Corey Feldman, for example, has spent years discussing allegations of exploitation involving young performers in Hollywood. In interviews, Feldman described how vulnerable child actors could be exposed to predatory behavior and how the culture of silence made speaking out extremely difficult. He also connected those experiences to the struggles faced by his late friend Corey Haim. Feldman has often said that naming specific individuals can lead to legal battles and professional retaliation, which discourages many victims from coming forward. Comedian Cat Williams has also spoken publicly about the pressures within the entertainment world, describing a system where conformity is rewarded while dissent can lead to career setbacks. For Gibson and Caviezel, critics say the decision to pursue another controversial project means stepping once again into an industry environment where challenging powerful institutions can have consequences. Looking at the timeline, supporters argue that numerous voices over the past 3 decades have raised concerns about hidden abuses within the entertainment world. Mel Gibson spoke about troubling aspects of Hollywood culture in the 1990s. Corey Feldman discussed child exploitation in the 2000s. In recent years, several high-profile scandals and documentaries have reignited public debate about accountability in the industry. Meanwhile, investigations into Epstein's network and related legal proceedings have produced extensive documentation, flight records, testimony, and court filings that continue to be analyzed by journalists and researchers.
Children represent God. They're the most innocent and like God, and that's why the devil wants to kill them, wants to hurt them. It's always been this way since Pharaoh and then to Herod and to now, but more than.
Mel Gibson spoke about troubling aspects of Hollywood culture in the 1990s. Corey Feldman discussed child exploitation in the 2000s. In recent years, several high-profile scandals and documentaries have reignited public debate about accountability in the industry. Meanwhile, investigations into Epstein's network and related legal proceedings have produced extensive documentation, flight records, testimony, and court filings that continue to be analyzed by journalists and researchers. Against that backdrop, Gibson and Caviezel's rumored film project is being framed by supporters as an attempt to dramatize the story using information already present in official records. Caviezel has told audiences he believes a moment of reckoning may eventually arrive, one where powerful individuals who have avoided scrutiny could finally face public accountability. Whether that moment actually comes remains uncertain. But the debate surrounding Epstein, Hollywood, and influence networks shows no sign of fading anytime soon. Now the question many people are asking is simple. Will this film actually be completed and released? And if it is, how much of the story will it attempt to show?
Share your thoughts in the comments.
Do you believe a project like this could make it to theaters? And which names do you think the industry would least want to see portrayed on screen?
See you in the next video.